Now for the next little while, I want to talk about some research results that exist on blockchain technology and on trading in blockchain technology. Now, since I wrote the paper, I thought I could just put my own work up here. This is a joint work with Katja Malinova, and I bragged about this earlier that this was actually the first paper, it was first economics paper that has been presented at a major conference and arguably circulated on blockchain technology. So here's basically how we motivate this paper. So the first thing is what's different from blockchain technology compared to the normal world of trading. There are various different new trading protocols that are possible. So for instance, you can have decentralized trading on a trading platform. You can have fully decentralized OTC trading with peer-to-peer exchanges. There's a large number of different trading protocols that are possible with blockchain technology that we haven't seen in equity markets as such. Then the second thing is that there's a very high level of transparency. When you go and see transactions on the Ethereum blockchain, you can see the different addresses, so public addresses that were involved. So as you know, you could see my public address, I showed it to you before, and you can see all the transactions that I've made. So you actually know, knowing me and that I am in that address, you can actually tell what I did. Generally speaking, you can see the transfers between different addresses, and you can find out a lot about these addresses. Third, using these addresses, you can also figure out who has what at any given point in time. So I take here some particular token as a Bancor token, and you can basically look at who owns how much of this token. Now, one has to be a little careful with interpreting it, right? So ideally, you would learn a little bit about who is behind these addresses. This could be an issuing address, this could be a foundation, it could be an exchange. But the bottom line is that you actually can see a lot about who an owner is of these tokens. So in summary, what it really is first of all, we can have genuine peer-to-peer trading now. In the current world, this has to always happen through some form of intermediary, whereas the technology actually allows it to be frictionless. Transactions are visible. There's an extremely high degree of visibility, which is actually something that piqued my interest when I thought of blockchain technology the first time around. And so you can also tell who is a whale, who has a lot of money. So what that means is the informational environment here changes quite drastically. However, it's important to understand that these addresses that we see, these are some form of ID, but they don't necessarily correspond one-to-one to a person. And this is going to be something that plays a role in the research question that I'm trying to answer. So what we therefore study is we're trying to understand what can we glean as information from the particular addresses as they exist. And what we have in mind is some form of transparency regime here. Because you can have design choices for the ledger. And in fact, actually, as we now know, there's also design choices that you as an issuer can have of who can use your token. So you can basically take the list of possible owners and you can create a whitelist of these entities. And then you can have on this whitelist of possible entities that can trade your securities, you can imply certain rules for those. Now, what we're therefore looking at is so we're trying to look at some stylized versions of this. We're looking at a version where you can see everything, so everything is visible, and then we can also look at situations where there's a certain different degrees of transparency. We're looking in particular at one where you mandate that one user has one ID, and we're also looking at a situation where one user can have as many IDs as they want. So in particular, a continuum to make our life simple. And so the question that we then ask is, how does the design of ledger transparency identify user behavior with a possible peer-to-peer transaction that you can have on the blockchain? So the question is really who benefits and who loses from this.